But there is actually only one main verb in that whole big long bit there. It's pleruste. Only one main verb. Underlined it and bolded it for you to give you a bit of an idea. It's an imperative verb. It's a command. Be filled is how we translate it. But it's a bit of a tricky word. It's a passive imperative, which means we don't actually do it. It's something that's sort of done to us. Paul's saying, allow yourself to be filled with the Spirit, or something along those kind of lines. Be filled. But there's only one verb here. That's really important, right? There's actually only one verb. All those other verb-like words in the sentences, let me underline them for you. Give a bit of squiggle underline. Leluntes and adontes and spalontes. Eucharistontes. There we go. And hypostomonai. These are all what we call subordinate participles. Now, as I said, that's not going to mean anything to you at the moment. That's fine. But what I'm telling you is that all these are dependent clauses that are dependent upon the main verb. That first command to be filled with the Holy Spirit. So here's the question. How many things does Paul tell us to do? Right? You read your Bibles, we had a debate. There's 3, there's 5, there's 6, there's 8, there's 7. Right? In the Greek, crystal clear. Crystal clear. There's one thing Paul's telling us to do. Because there's only one verb here. Right? This actually is all one big long sentence in Greek. Right? And he's telling us one thing only. One verb only. Be filled with the Spirit. That's what he's telling us to do. In light of what God's done for you, what should you do? Be filled with the Spirit. And then more than that, we don't need to speculate what it looks like to be filled with the Spirit. Because as I said, you have that conversation in your Bible study, you're going to have lots of different answers, right? Everyone's going to be talking about this, that, and the other, and whatever they think it means to be filled with the Spirit. We don't have to guess. Because Paul's actually telling us here. He's telling us exactly what he has in mind. Those who allow themselves to be filled with the Holy Spirit are those who speak to each other with psalms and hymns. They're those who sing from their heart to God. They're the kind of people who are always giving thanks to God for everything. They'll be willing to submit to everyone else out of reverence for Christ. You see, this is actually, it's crystal clear in the Greek. Right? These are all subordinate clauses against the one main verb, be filled, and this is what it looks like to be filled, Paul's saying. Right? This is what a Spirit-filled person looks like. Now, you're never going to pick that up from reading your English Bible, right? You're never going to pick that up from reading the NIV. I asked someone to read the NIV because the ESV has done their best to try and move it along that line a little bit. But even still, it's a bit confusing. You're not going to pick it up, right? But it's crystal clear in the Greek, right? Only one verb and a whole stack of subordinate clauses that explain that verb for you. One big, long sentence in Paul's Greek. And I reckon that's pretty cool, don't you? All right? This is exciting. This is reading the Bible in high definition, right? No longer ambiguity, no longer questions, no longer trying to figure this out, no longer just having a debate in your Bible study about what being filled with the Spirit is and the blind leading the blind and everyone just talking about it. No, just listen to Paul, right? He'll tell you exactly what it looks like, what he had in mind. This is what a Spirit-filled person looks like. And this is what I'm telling you to do. One thing, be filled with the Spirit, right? In these verses, right? Paul's got lots of other things to say, but in these verses, it's only one thing he's calling us to do. And that's pretty cool, I reckon. This is the kind of stuff that Greek allows you to see that you're just not going to get by reading your English translations. Yeah? So, let me pray. And then let's actually learn some Greek. What do you think? You ready? Let's pray. Dear Lord God, we thank you so much for what you have done for us in Christ, as Paul outlines at the beginning of his letter to the Ephesians, how you have blessed us in the spiritual realms with every spiritual blessing in Christ, how you have chosen us, how you have given us your Holy Spirit as a deposit guaranteeing our salvation. Ephesians chapter 1, how you've moved us from death to life through faith in Jesus by your grace, Ephesians chapter 2. How you've taken us who were once your enemies and have reconciled us to you, and so doing reconciled us to each other, making together one person, one new humanity in you, Ephesians chapter 2. All these great truths that you have done for us that are outlined in Ephesians, and then as Paul calls us here to now, to respond by being filled with the Spirit. Lord, we pray that you would fill us with your Spirit. And as you do that, we would respond with joy and gratitude in our hearts, always giving thanks, singing praises to you, encouraging one another, submitting to one another, loving and serving each other. Lord, we pray that we would be Spirit-filled believers in accordance with your word. Lord, we thank you for the way that learning Greek helps us to see and read in high definition, and it helps us to get to know you better. And so, Lord, we pray that you'll be with us now as we start our journey into the Greek language. Give us strength, motivation, determination, and a willingness to apply our minds and our efforts and our energies to this noble task, this God-glorifying task. Help us to do it with great love for you, as you've shown us your great love in Christ. Amen. Okay, who's ready to learn some Greek? What? There's only one person. The rest of you get out of here. Right? Come on, let's learn some Greek. Right, now, the goal of our class, what we're doing right now, is we need to learn the alphabet. Okay? Start at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start. If the Sound of Music taught me anything, that is true, right? So if you're going to learn any language, you need to learn how the language is written. You need to learn the alphabet. You can't do anything with a written language without learning the alphabet first. And so we're going to start by doing that. Now, the good news is some of the letters in the Greek alphabet are pretty similar to some of the letters in the English alphabet. That's good news, right? Okay, because it's going to be nice and easy. But there are some curveballs, and there are a few things that are different as well. So, let's get stuck into it. Here is the Greek alphabet for you. We're going to start at the very beginning. We're going to work our way through, right? So this is the alphabet. We're going to write it down. We're going to get to know it. We're going to learn it. It starts with alpha. Alpha, nice and easy. What's the first letter of the English alphabet? A. First letter of the Greek alphabet? Alpha. Nice and easy. And the alpha in the Greek alphabet, you'll see on the screen here, I've given you the lowercase letters, which is really what we're mostly interested in, right? But I've also given you the capitals here. The Greek text, as you'll find in a Greek Bible, which I've got here, you can have a look around here. Here's my Greek Bible, is almost entirely in the lowercase. There's a few uppercase letters, but most of the time it's all in lowercase print. So that's what you really want to focus mostly on. But alpha, and alpha is just like A. Behaves exactly the same way as A behaves in the English alphabet as well. It sounds the same, it means the same, it's exactly the same as you'd think an A is. So that's a nice, easy start. Alpha. Then we get AB. Well, we've got AB here, right? We've got beta, right? Alpha, beta. Beta is exactly the same as the B in an English as well. So this is nice and easy for us. Nice, easy start. We'd want it to go A, B, C, but it doesn't do that, right? Here's our first little curveball coming our way. We've got alpha, beta, and then we've got gamma. Gamma. And gamma is like the G in an English alphabet. Right? Makes the same kind of sounds, behaves in a similar kind of way, although we'll learn later about a funky different way that gamma can behave. But gamma is basically just the G in English. So instead of ABC, we've got ABG, right? That's okay, but then we go back on track, what we'd want it to be. Alpha, beta, gamma, and then delta. Delta, just like the D in English. It's exactly the same as you'd expect the D. So we're going nice and easily here. Instead of ABCD, we've got ABGD, but it's very similar. alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and that delta is just a D. And then we've got epsilon down here at the bottom here. And that's the E. Now, in English, we have 5 vowels, yeah? A, E, I, O, and U, right? Greek's got a few more vowels than we do in English, but here's 2 of them. We've met the first one, alpha, that's a vowel, just like A is a vowel, and epsilon down the bottom, it's a vowel, just like E is a vowel, right? But we just have one E. Greek's got 2 kind of E sounds. It's got the short E, like here, as in eh, and it's got the long E, as in A, that kind of, but we'll get to that in a second. It's a different letter, different vowel. But this is kind of like what we hope, right? A, B, well, it's not C, it's G, but A, B, G, D, E. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon. And all those letters are just nice and easy. They make the same sounds that you'd expect them to make in English as well. We've just got to get used to these Greek letters and start learning them. So you with me? Okay, this is what we're going to do in a nice and controlled COVID kind of way, where we're not breathing on each other. We're nice safety distance though. But we want to say this together. We're going to go through the alphabet. You with me? So let's start. Ready? Together? How does it go? It goes alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon. Let's do it again. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon. Close your eyes one more time. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon. All right, great. That's the start of our alphabet. Then things get a bit messed up. Okay, that was all nice and easy. A, B, C, D, E, right? A, B, G, D, E, right? Okay, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon. Then we go zeta. Now, zeta is like Greek's Z. Last letter of our alphabet, but it's right up here in here. Right? Zeta behaves exactly like an English Z behaves. The same kind of sound, same kind of everything like that, but it's right up the front here, right? Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon. And then we go zeta, eta, theta, iota. Okay? So zeta, the first one, it's a Z. Just like in zoo or whatever. It makes that same Z kind of sound that we have in English. And then we've got eta. Now, this is our first kind of interesting vowel, as I said earlier. This isn't, it makes the long E sound, like in obey, that kind of idea, the A, kind of long E, as opposed to a short vowel, eh, eh, eh. This is a long vowel, A, that kind of sound, right? And this is eta, so it's a vowel as well, right? And it's a bit like a lengthened E, a lengthened eh, in terms of sound and phonology, right? Okay, so we have zeta, and then we have eta. And then Greek doesn't have a letter H, right? But if you think about it, there are lots of sounds that H goes together with in English. And so what Greek does is it shoves H together with lots of other letters to make some of those sounds. So this is the first one. We're going to see some others. But this is the first one. This is called theta. And theta makes that TH sound together. Th. Yeah, it's one letter. One letter makes that th sound. T-H-y kind of sound. Theta makes a th. And then we've got iota, another vowel, just a simple little I, just like I in English is iota. Notice it does not have a dot at the top of it. Okay? All right? Trap for young players. This looks a lot like an N. Yeah, in English. Don't be tricked. It's not an N. It's a long E sound. All right? This is eta, and it's a long E sound. It's not an N. Zeta, eta, theta, iota. Okay? Everybody happy with that? Say it with me then. Zeta, eta, theta, iota. One more time. Zeta, eta, theta, iota. All right, from the top then. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota. All right? Everybody happy? Okay. Now we kind of jump back into the English alphabet in a nice way. H-I-J-K-L-M-N. Okay? So we've got these letters here that are just nicely, exactly kind of the same order as the English alphabet, and they're also the same sounds as their English counterparts, right? So kappa makes exactly the same K sound that the English letter K does. Lambda makes an L sound, just like you'd expect the L to make in English. Mu and nu are our M and our N, all right? Kappa, lambda, mu, nu, just like English, K, L, M, N, and make all the same sounds that we'd want them to. So there's lots of good news here, right? Lots of easiness in terms of learning the alphabet. Some of these letters and some of these sounds are very familiar to you. Although I should say, right, that when it comes to sounding out the alphabet and making these sounds, there are different schools of thought when it comes to how to pronounce Greek words. And how to speak it. Because remember, the Greek we're learning is actually a dead language, right? I told you that. I mean, it was thousands of years ago, really. There's modern Greek, but it's very different, right? And so this language is not a spoken language anymore. This is an old ancient language. And so people argue about how to pronounce words and different things and stuff like that. I don't get too stressed about that because we don't know. So it doesn't matter, right? I mean, we've got to be able to read the words. It helps us to speak and stuff like that. But here's the bad news for you. You're learning Greek in English in South Africa from an Australian. So, you know, go figure, right? You're going to have a messed up way of speaking Greek. But, you know, that's okay. And, you know, I don't get so upset about this because, like, I've been in conferences and I've done presentations and stuff like that where I've had, you know, some of my esteemed American colleagues and friends and scholars come up to me afterwards and say, well, you know, I didn't really pronounce that word right. And I'm like, should we even just talk about English? Like, how are you speaking right now? Like, you don't seem to pronounce anything right either, you know? Like, it's a herb, right? It's not an herb. Don't even get me started on aluminium or whatever else they say in a crazy American way, right? Okay? So we can't even speak English the same, right? So why do we worry and get upset about Greek pronunciation? I'm not too fussed about it, right? Especially in an ancient language that we're reading, not speaking. But some people get their knickers in a knot about these things, but not me. Okay, so kappa, lambda, mu, nu. K, L, M, N. Nice and easy. You ready? Kappa, lambda, mu, nu. Kappa, lambda, mu, nu. Kappa, lambda, mu, nu. All right, back from the top then. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon. Nice. Zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu. Okay, cool. All right. Next lot. Okay, now we've got another one that kind of fits. We want that to go, yeah, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, and it kind of does. L, M, N, and then we've got O, P, no Q, R, S, T, but we've got this funky one at the top there that jumps in the middle, right? And it's called chi. And it's a X-y kind of sound, right? Like fox, that kss, kss, kss. It makes that noise, right? When you're reading it, when you're pronouncing it. That's chi, right? And it's like that X. That sneaks in there between L, M, N, chi, before we go O, P, R, S, T, right? So we've got chi up there, that's a foxy kind of sound, X-y kind of sound. We've got omicron, which is our normal O, just a simple little O, as in log, or O, all right, making that sound, that short O sound. We're going to meet another vowel that's a different letter that's a long O sound in a minute too, but this is a short O sound. So this is another one of our vowels, short O. And then we've got pi, which is just like a P, all good. And then we've got rho here, which is our R, trap for young players, yeah? Because our rho, which is our R in Greek, looks a lot like an English P, doesn't it? Right? Okay? So don't fall for that one. Oh, and by the way, our N looks a lot like a V too, doesn't it? Yeah? Okay? So don't fall for these tricks, right? These are traps for young players. But this is an N, and this is an R, not a P, even though it looks like it, right? Okay. So we've got row, and this is just an R like every other R in English. And then we've got sigma. Sigma is a little bit funny, right? Sigma is an S, just like any normal S that we have in English. But there's two different forms. Well, there's the capital, but that's all right. But even in the lowercase, there's two different forms of sigma, okay? And the way this works is if sigma is at the start of the word or in the middle of the word or anything like that, you use this one. But if sigma is the last letter of the word, then you use this one. All right? So both of these are S, both of these are sigmas, but this is the sigma that you use in the middle of a word or the start of a word. This is the sigma that you use when it's the last letter of the word. Yeah? Okay? So sigma, that's our S, and then T, tau, just like a normal T in English is. Yeah? Everybody happy? Okay, so it's chi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau. Everybody? Chi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau. And again, chi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau. From the top, from the top, from the top, from the top. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, chi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau. Awesome. It's really hard to know who's speaking with your face mask on. But anyway, that's okay. All right, okay. And then we've got our last ones. These are our last letters in the Greek alphabet. Our last screen here. Just like we've got it. P, Q, R, S, T, U, right? Same in English. Here we go. Here we've got our U, in our Greek U. It's upsilon. And there it is there, just like you'd expect it to be. The U, just like a U in English behaves. No problems there. And then we've got a couple more of these combined sounded letters in the alphabet. So this one's phi, and it's a PH sound, that F sound. F, like phone. Yeah, that PH-y kind of sound. That's what sound phi makes. PH, F. And then we've got chi here as well, and this is a CH-y kind of sound, like loch. And if you're Afrikaans or something like that, you might be able to hook it up a bit better than I can, right? But it's that y kind of sound, that ch. This will be the first letter of Christ, for instance, you know, that kind of idea, right? Ch, that kind of sound. And then we've got psi here, and this is a combined letter as well, but not with an H this time. This is a PS. Ps, like lips. That ps kind of sound, right? That's what sound this letter makes. That PSy kind of sound. It's psi. That's what it's called. And then we've got our last letter of the Greek alphabet called omega, or omega, if you're American. Omega. All right? Okay, now this is another vowel. And this is our long O sound. Right? So we have omicron, which is our O. And then we have our omega, which is our O. That kind of sound. O and O. Right? The longer vowel. Okay? As in tone. Right? That O kind of sound. Right? So we've got an omega here, our last vowel, and our last letter of the Greek alphabet. So the first letter of the Greek alphabet is, and the last letter of the Greek alphabet is, and that's why God says, I am the beginning and the end, right? This is why, right? See, Greek teaches you everything, right? Okay? All right, so let's go through these ones then. Upsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega. Upsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega. All right, from the top. Here we go. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, chi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega. There it is for you, right? There is the Greek alphabet. So this is what we're going to do. Here's the exercise. Are you ready for it? Let's read it one more time together, and then we'll have some fun. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, chi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega. Everybody feeling good? Feeling confident? All right then. Woo-oo. We lost a couple, but that's okay. You guys are up for it. You guys are good at this. Strong. Let's do it. Alpha, beta. What? We don't know it. We still want to say the alphabet. I just hid some for you to make it a little harder for you. So let's not jump ahead. What ones are missing? We've got to say the ones that are missing as well. See, it's getting trickier. See how your memory's going here. Okay, you ready? Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, mu, nu, psi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega. All right. Feeling confident? Good. Good. We can do this. Let's do it. Alpha, gamma, omega. All right, doing all right. Got a little bit quiet there, maybe in one or two little places. But that's okay. Keep working on it. We can get there, we can get there, we can get there. Come on, let's do it. Oi. Oi. Yo. It's getting trickier and trickier. You guys are up for it though. You ready? Do you need a hand at the start? It's alpha. All right, I'll give you a heads up, right? Okay. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, psi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega. Yeah. All right. You guys are up for it. You don't even need it. You don't even need it. Ready? Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, psi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, chi, psi, omega. Woohoo! Well done, right? It's okay, they're back. It's okay. Whew, everybody just relax. They're back. Okay, Greek alphabet. There it is for you. Getting your head around it. You want to get to know that, right? You want to learn those letters. Obviously, you need to learn the letters. You need to know the sounds they make. You need to know all that. But also, like if you're going to look up a word in a dictionary or something like that, you need to know the alphabet, right? Otherwise, you're going to waste 10 minutes just trying to find a word and flipping all over the place. By the way, if you haven't realized it yet, your Duff book has a little bit of a dictionary at the back of it for that exact purpose. And you can turn to the back there and you've got a whole stack of Greek English dictionaries at the back there just to help you out with the vocab that's in Duff. But yeah, we need that. Now, in terms of just getting your head around these letters and what they look like, in terms of writing them, right? How they should look, how they should fit on the line. So alpha, is nice, normal little letter. Beta goes above the line at the top and below the line at the bottom. You know, that's kind of where it sits there. Gamma goes under. Delta's above the line. Epsilon fine. Zeta starts above the line, goes below the line. Eta, got that tail that flows down underneath the bottom of the line as well. Theta up the top. Iota. Kappa looks like a capital K, but it's in terms of its spacing, it's like a small, you know, sits on the line. Lambda up the top. Mu with the little tail at the front that goes below the line. Chi over the top. Omicron pi. Rho down the bottom. That second sigma, the ending sigma, comes down as well below the line. And then phi, psi, and psi, they all up and above the line as well, right? Okay, so what I want you to do now is I want you to just take a sheet, take a piece of paper, take a minute or two, and I want you to just write the alphabet out, right? You can look it up on the screen if you need to, but just practice writing those letters out in that kind of, you know, the kind of size, the shape of them, that it's not natural to you at the moment. You're going to have to work at how you're developing your Greek handwriting skills, okay? Because these letters are new to you. So just practice writing them out, write the whole alphabet out once or twice, just in your own handwriting, and start getting used to what they might look like and feel like as you write these letters out. Make sure your upsilons look very different to your nus. It's very easy to just get them and they end up looking exactly the same. So don't do that. You can see there on the board we've got phi that looks like that. Sometimes in different texts or other things that you might look at, you might see phi just written like that without the top end. It kind of looks like that. It's okay. It's just like a different font. That's all. It's basically it's the same. It's the same letter. Just to give you the heads up. Okay, starting to get a bit of feel for just how those letters work, how you write them, getting your own, starting to develop your own handwriting of those letters. You're going to have to work on that, obviously, and keep practicing and practicing. But the more you do it, the better it'll become. But I can see some nice letters there. Let's do another exercise here. And what I've got here is a few words. These are English words, but I've just used the Greek alphabet to write out the English words, just to have a bit of fun and to try and get us used to the kind of letters and stuff like that. So let's kick it off. Who wants to read this for me? Derek, you want to tell us, what does this say in English with the Greek letters? Yeah, in English, what's the word? It's Bible, right? I'm just using the Greek letters, right? But just to get us used to the letters, that would be Bible. Yeah, excellent. Let's go for another one. Jotham. What have you got? What would that word be? It's an English word, but just using Greek letters to write. It would be... Feels like frog. Looks like frog. Excellent. Exactly. We've got that f from the phi, the ph. You kind of sound fr. And this is r. It doesn't look like a p, but don't be tricked, right? It's an r. And then the o, and then the gamma at the end, which is a g sound. That'd be frog, right? If you were trying to write frog with Greek letters, that's what it would look like. Excellent. Good work. What about who else here? What about Michael? Michael, what would this be? Hey? What's the first letter? Don't be tricked by it. N. L. N-A-I-L? Nailed it. Well done. Exactly. Okay? Yeah. No, that's exactly right. Nail. Perfect. Okay? Excellent. Excellent work. I got another one here just for some fun. Who wants to do this one for us? David. Temple, right? Temple. T-M-P-L-E. Nice and easy, temple. Ashley, at the back there. What are we going to call this one? Ruler. Yeah? Can you see that? It looks like a P. Don't be tricked. Those are R's. Ruler. Yeah? That's what that would be. What else have we got here? Oh, this is a fun one. Ebenezer. What do you think this one might be? What's the first letter? What sound does it make? C-H-y kind of sound? Ch. Yeah, okay. And then? Which is a, what sort of sound? Huh? Uh-huh. Chris, what's this letter here? This is a mu, yeah? It's an M. Christmas. Merry Christmas. All right, Christmas. That's how you'd write Christmas if you wanted to use Greek letters to use an English word, yeah? Okay, so just trying to get you used to the letters. So these are all just made up words, right? We're writing English with Greek letters. That makes no sense. So here's some Greek words, okay? Now, I just picked out a few words that were in our devotion earlier. You don't know what these words mean? That's fine, right? You're not supposed to know what they mean yet. But we're just trying to get used to the letters and how they sound and what they might sound like. So, Jasmine, how would you read that word? Kai, yeah? Kai. That's how you'd pronounce it. It's a Greek word. It means hand. But kai, that's how that word would sound, yeah? Okay. What about this one, Tokozani? What would this one look like? Kurios. Yeah, Kurios. Kurios is what that would mean. It means Lord, but that's all right. You don't need to know what it means. We're just trying to get used to the sounds of the letters at the moment. It would be Kurios. Yeah. We've got another one here for us. Oh, that's getting a bit more funky. Melissa, you want to give this one a go? What's the first letter? L. Okay, so how you doing? How are you saying L-A-L? How would you say L-A-L? Lull. All right, okay, let's start with lull. And then we've got? And then? O-U. What's this one? Trip for young players, remember? Looks like a V, but it's actually a? Yeah. And then tau, epsilon, sigma. Yeah. Yep. Excellent. Okay, so let's put it all together. Laluntes. Laluntes. Beautiful, right? Excellent. Laluntes. Can everyone see that? Excellent. Everyone get that? You can see that in the letters. You can see how that rolls off the tongue. Laluntes. Right? Okay? Who knows what it means? We don't care about that right now. We're just trying to think about how the letters work and what they sound like, yeah? Let's have another one. Anati. Do you want to have a think about this one for us? What's the first letter? Mm-hmm. And then remember this eta here is like a long E sound, air kind of sound. So it's going to be, and then this one? Looks like a P, but don't be tricked. It's a R, right? Yeah? So it's going to be player, oo. That O-U sound, oo. And then what's that theta? What noise is that? What sound does that make? Unati? The theta. At the end there. Th. Yeah. And the last one, E. So, how we put it all together? Plerusthe. Yeah? Plerusthe. See how that works? See how the letters are coming together to form these words? Plerusthe is how we would pronounce that word in Greek. What does it mean? Who cares? Ooh. Ooh, who's up for a tricky one here? Who wants to do this one for us? John, who wants to do this one for us? Okay, Josh, you can do it. Nice. Yeah, can you see how that's coming together? Me, thus, kesthe. Yeah? Okay? These are just, don't worry about what it means or anything. We're just trying to figure out the sounds that these letters make, try to put them together in words so that we could read it if it came out. Me, thus, kesthe. Yeah, it's quite a mouthful, isn't it? All right? And Greek can get some pretty long, funky words. Okay. So, you're getting a feel for the letters, you're getting a feel for the alphabet, right? By this stage, you should know the alphabet, getting it up under your head at least, getting it up by heart. You should know the alphabet, you should know the sounds that each one of those letters make, and then you'll be able to put them together to read some words. You don't know what they mean, but you can at least read them, you can see the words on the pages and think about what they might sound like. Okay, any questions at this stage about any of that? Ask your questions. Okay, but if I just put the text up that we had from Ephesians chapter 5 earlier, you can see there's all the letters there in the alphabet, and we're using them and stuff like that. But there's a lot of other stuff on that screen, isn't there? There's lots of other dashes and dots and squiggles and all sorts of things and stuff like that, right? Okay, so what we need to do is we need to make sure that you're familiar with all of these dashes and dots and squiggles, that they all make sense to you, okay? So that's what we're going to do now, right? That's what we're doing. We're just going to make sure we're going to go through each one of these dashes and dots and squiggles so that when you have a piece of Greek New Testament text in front of you, there's nothing that you don't know that you're looking at, yeah? You know all the letters, and you know all the dashes and dots and squiggles and everything like that, right? So there's nothing that's going to confuse you. You might not be able to read it and translate it yet, but you know you'll be able to recognize what everything is on the page. You with me? All right, that's what we want to do now. So let me introduce you to your first little bit of stuff that's going on in the page. And this one actually isn't quite on the page, but it's something you've got to remember. It's called the gamma nasal, right? The gamma nasal. And what this is when two gammas, two G's, two gammas, right? The G, so the G sound, when they're right next to each other in a Greek word, right? And if you think about it for a second, how would you pronounce a word that had two G's right next to each other? Well, I guess we do. We've got egg, don't we? That's how you pronounce egg. But, you know, but it doesn't really kind of work, right? So what happens in Greek when there's two G's, two gammas right next to each other, rather than pronounce them as a double G sound, they actually make the NG sound, that sound that we're kind of familiar with in a lot of English words. A gamma nasal, when there's two G's together, two gammas together, they don't make a double G sound, they make an sound. An sound. Yeah? So, this word, for instance, we've got two G's right next to each other as an example of a gamma nasal. They don't go g-g-g or something like that, right? They go ing. So, this word would then be garum. Tell me, what do you think? How would you pronounce this word? Remember, those two G's go together to make an ng sound. Ang-G together. Ang-el-los. Yeah? A. And then these go together to make it Ang-G. Angelos. 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 Can you see how that works? Two G's go together, gives you that gamma nasal, gives you that sound. Angelos. Anybody just want to have a random guess at what they think the word angelos might mean in English? Just a random guess. Angel! Look at that. You've learnt your first Greek vocab word, right? Yes, angelos means angel, right? Nice and easy, right? Nice and simple. We'll come back to vocab later, but it's a good example of a gamma nasal. That's why we're looking at it, yeah? The two gammas together give you that sound. Cool? Okay, while this word's up here, it's also a good example of what we call no, that's the two G's. It's a good example of what we call a breathing mark as well. A breathing mark. And that's this little mark here at the front, right? The little dash at the front. It's a breathing mark. Every word that begins with a vowel in Greek, every word that begins with a vowel has a breathing mark on it. Always. This breathing mark here, the one that goes that way, that breathing mark is called a smooth breathing mark. Is an example of a smooth breathing mark. There are two different types of breathing marks. There's the smooth breathing mark, like this one, that goes that way. And there's a rough breathing mark, like that one, that goes the other way, right? Smooth breathing mark goes this way. Rough breathing mark goes that way, okay? Every word that begins with a vowel has to have a breathing mark on it. Always. Let's not forget that, right? Very important. Smooth breathing mark, rough breathing mark. Smooth breathing mark at the front goes this way, like in angelos. We don't pronounce it, right? It's got to be there, because if it begins with a vowel, then it needs to have a breathing mark. But we don't pronounce it. It doesn't make any difference to the sound. This is angelos. But the rough breathing mark, down the bottom here, this one, the one that goes the other way, the rough breathing mark makes an H sound at the start of the word. Right? It makes an H-y kind of sound at the start of the word. Joseph, do you want to try and read this last word for us here? Remember, this breathing mark makes an H-y sound at the start of the word. So how would you pronounce this word? Hagios. Excellent. Yeah, excellent. Hagios. Can you see that? Right? That rough breathing mark gives us that H-y kind of sound, that aspirated sound that people talk about it, that at the start of a word. Hagios, right? Hagios is the way you pronounce that word. Okay? So every word that has a breathing mark on it, every word that begins with a vowel, always has a breathing mark on it. Some of them are soft breathing marks. We don't pronounce them. If they're rough breathing marks, then we need to make sure that we pronounce the H-y kind of sound in front of it. All right? And then on top of that, you need to make sure it's there, firstly. Every word that begins with a vowel needs to have a breathing mark on it. So if I was to ask you to write out the Greek word for angel, for instance, in a test, hypothetically, in a quiz, if I was to hypothetically do that, and you were to write that, for instance, then, well, depending on how mean I felt I was at the day, how much sleep I got last night, I might go and say, no, you got it wrong, right? Okay? Because you didn't give me a breathing mark. Even if I was nice, you'd probably lose half marks or something like that, right? Okay? Because it needs a breathing mark if it's a word that begins with a vowel. You'll be surprised how many Greek quizzes that I've marked where people have gone, given all the answers, and then no breathing marks on words that begin with vowels and stuff. I'm going to sit there, and I have to, take marks away from you. And I don't like taking marks away from people. I like giving marks to people. That's just the kind of guy I am, right? So make sure you don't lose marks for not putting breathing marks on things, right? Okay? If the word begins with a vowel, needs a breathing mark. If the word begins with a row, also, here, it would also have a rough breathing mark on it. Every word that begins with a row has a rough breathing mark on it as well. And so, let's have a think about this here. Who do I want to pick on this time? Tashwa will do. Tashwa, tell us, how would you pronounce this word? It's got a rough breathing mark at the front of it. Yeah, it looks like rabbi, right? We just pronounce it as rabbi. But that rough breathing mark is supposed to have that aspirated kind of sound to it. So it might get a bit of your Afrikaans in there. It might be like a rabbi or something like that, like something along those kind of lines. It gives that kind of aspirated sound to the front of a word that begins with row. But yeah, rabbi. Rabbi, which means teacher, right? You know that. You call me rabbi, and rightly so. We get that translated into our English Bibles. Okay, so that's breathing marks. First of the little squiggles that you've met, right, that are on the Greek text. Breathing marks. What else should we look at? Well, let's look at some other squiggles. Diphthongs. Let's talk about them for a second. Anyone know what a diphthong is? You might know from life. You might have read ahead in your Greek textbook because you're so studious. Or you might just know anyway. What's a diphthong? Yeah, John. Two vowels next to each other that make one sound. Yeah? Two vowels next to each other that just make one sound. We've seen a few examples of it already. And we do this all the time in English without even thinking about it. We have diphthongs all the time. Like nobody runs through the woods and goes, oh my goodness, help, 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 I'm being chased by a BR, right? Nobody says that, right? You run through the woods, you go, there's a bear chasing me, right? Because we know that that E and that A go together to just make that one sound, right? The air in the middle there, right? This is a diphthong. We do it all the time in English. We don't even think about it, right? We don't pronounce that BR. We pronounce it bear, right? And there's a whole stack of diphthongs in English that we're pretty familiar with. And there are a whole stack of diphthongs in Greek that we're very familiar with as well. So here's a list of some common diphthongs in Greek and in English that we're going to come across all the time. An alpha and an iota going together to make that ale kind of sound, like aisle, at the start of an aisle or something like that, that word aisle, that A and I together. An epsilon and an iota together, making that kind of A sound, veil. Or an omicron and an iota together, you can make that oi kind of sound, oil, oi. Or an alpha and an upsilon going together to make that ow kind of sound, sauerkraut, for instance, that owie kind of sound. Or an omicron and an upsilon going together to make that oo kind of sound, root, oo, oo, oo. Or a epsilon and an an epsilon or an eta and an epsilon going together to make that oo sound, like eulogy, oo. Or a hui, that epsilon and iota going together to make a hui, like quit, those kind of noises. So these are all common diphthongs in English and common diphthongs in Greek as well. They're just two vowels that go together and make that one sound. And we saw that already when we're trying to practice these words. I can't even remember what they were. Was it la loose there or something like that, you know? That's that. We just saw it already, that O and that U, the omicron and upsilon going together to make that oo sound, you know? By the way, I can see some of you writing this stuff down. You should be doing that. You should take notes. You should write it down. I see some of you taking photos. I will put up these PowerPoints onto Google Classroom, so they're all there for you after class. So there's no need for you to take a photo or anything like that. You can actually download all the PowerPoint slides and have them for you. I don't want to discourage you from taking notes. You should take notes, but taking photos, you can do if you want, but they'll also be there on Google Classroom for you to use and help you as much as you want. And I think we can all turn around and wave at the camera. Hello, camera. Turn around and wave at the camera, because there's some of our friends who aren't here at the moment. Hello, friends. Because there's a couple of students who haven't been able to make it because of COVID reasons and a few things like that. So we're trying to help them get through summer school as best as possible without them being on the back foot. So, which is an advantage to you because we are recording some of this stuff, and then we'll try to figure out the technology. But I hope that I'll be able to upload that to the Google Classroom as well. So you can go back over things and stuff if you didn't get it and you wanted to refresh yourself or something like that. Okay, but anyway, there's diphthongs. Now, if a word... Now, hang on. We just got told that load shedding's coming in at 1 o'clock. So let me just check to see whether Musenberg's about to be load shedded or not, because that's going to be important to know while you write down those diphthongs if you've forgotten any. Musenberg has got load shedding not until 6 o'clock tonight. That is not going to disturb our lectures. Okay, cool. All right, so diphthongs. Now, if a word begins with a diphthong, then a diphthong is two vowels put together. So if a word begins with a diphthong, then it definitely begins with a vowel, doesn't it? And if a word begins with a vowel, then what does it need? It needs a breathing mark, right? Because every word that begins with a vowel needs a breathing mark. But what happens when your word begins with a diphthong is that the breathing mark sits on the second vowel, not the first vowel. Right? The breathing mark sits on the second vowel, not the first vowel. This is an example of it. This word is ice. Yeah? Ice. That's how you pronounce it. It means into. We'll look at that in a few days' time. We'll get to know it. But there's an example of the diphthong out the front, the I sound with the S at the end, ice. And it's got a smooth breathing mark, so we don't pronounce it. Yeah? No, not necessarily. You can have diphthongs with a rough breathing mark, but the point is just, the example is just that it will be on the second vowel, always, whatever rough or smooth breathing mark it'll be. Yeah? Excellent. Okay. Diphthongs, squiggles. Remember, we're just learning all the little squiggles and all the little marks. We're getting our heads around everything that we're going to see when we're out in the wild and looking at the text together. Okay, so let's talk about iota subscripts as well. Yes?
Can you possibly write down that word in handwritten? What I'm trying to see is how those breathing marks idea sit about.
Yes, of course I can. Great question. This is I had surgery on my shoulder during the summer holidays, and so I'm still trying to recover. So we'll see how much of the whiteboard I get to use throughout the week. We're basically just using the bottom half of the whiteboard for the moment, okay? Because I can't get my right arm any higher than that. But it'd be ice, like that. Yeah, above the eye. See if any of these. Can you read that? Can't get any up there. That might be a bit easier to read. Yeah? If you need me to angle it. That kind of thing. Yeah? Okay. Iota subscripts. Iota subscripts is what we were talking about. Now this is a special kind of diphthong, an iota subscript. And it appears usually at the end of the word, although not exclusively, but almost always, most frequently, should I say, at the end of a word. And it's usually with these vowels, alpha and eta and omega. The long E and the long O, and then the alpha as well. These three vowels. And the iota subscript, well, it just is exactly what it sounds like. It's a little iota that goes with the diphthong, but it gets dropped down to the bottom, right? So rather than actually being like there on the side like an alpha and an iota, it's a little subscript. It's a tiny little iota that sits at the bottom underneath the letter, right? So this tiny little mini iota down the bottom underneath, it's an iota subscript. Now, when we see these out in the wild and we're reading words and we're trying to think about how they sound, we don't pronounce the iota subscript, right? We don't pronounce it. It doesn't change the way we say the word, but it does change the meaning of the word. And it's very important in terms of the spelling of a word, and we'll see why that might be in the next couple of days. But just trust me for now, all right? This is an iota subscript. We're not trying to figure out meanings and stuff. We're just trying to learn all the squiggles and the dashes, yeah? So when you see that out in the wild, you'll recognize what it is. Oh, yeah, that's an iota subscript, that little iota underneath the letters there. Okay. Diaeresis. There's two little dots, double dots. Diaeresis. We're just learning about all the dashes and dots and squiggles and everything, yeah? I know it might seem like a lot, but trust me, it's okay. We're just trying to get our head around what all these dashes and dots and squiggles are so we can recognize them when we're out there. They don't freak us out. Okay, diaresis, so those two little dots there. And what... Noel, do you want to sing for us? Come on, Melissa, sing for us. No, let's all sing. Noel, right? Okay, that's how we say it. We say Noel, don't we? Because those little dots are there to tell you, psst, by the way, that O and that E are not behaving like a diphthong. That's what those little dots are telling you. They're not behaving like a diphthong. Say both of the vowels separately. That's what those little dots are doing. So we sing and we say no, L, right? We put those two vowels and we give them their sounds and we say them separately. We don't put them together as a diphthong. We don't sing our Christmas carols and go, Noel. No, we don't go Noel, which is what we usually go if there's an O and an E together. We go no L, because the little dots tell us. The diaresis is what it is. A diaresis, those two little dots tell us, separate those vowels. Don't say them as a diphthong. Separate them and say them, pronounce them differently. No L, for instance. All right? Rather than singing Noel. So here's a nice little word. It's got lots of different things that we've just seen. It's a Greek word for us. It starts with a capital letter. It looks like an H, but we know Greek doesn't have an H. The capital H looking like is, what letter is it? Can you remember? You look back on what you wrote down earlier. It's the eta. Yeah, this is the capital eta. Yeah, it's got because it begins with a vowel. It's got to have a breathing mark. Yeah, this one's got a smooth breathing mark on it, so we don't have to pronounce it. And then it's got an iota subscript at the end that we just saw. Important for the meaning of the word, but we don't pronounce it. It's got a diaresis saying to us, don't put these two vowels together. Separate them out and make sure you say them separately. It's got a whole stack of things that we've just looked at. This is the Greek word for Isaiah. Hesaiah. Yeah? All right? Isaiah. Isaiah. The prophet, Isaiah. All right? This is how you pronounce it. So lots of little things that we just looked at, all in one word. Lots of dashes and dots and squiggles and everything like that. But you know what all they are now, except, Jasmine, you look like you've got a confused look on your face. Except what? What's that one on top? All right, we haven't met that one on top yet. Oh, there's our diaresis. We haven't met that one on top. That one on top is an accent mark. So let's talk about accent marks. It's the last one we want to look at. Accent marks. Oh, that's not true. It's not the last one. I'm lying. Accent marks. Okay, now remember, don't panic. I know some of you right now are going, what? I can't get my head around all this. It's all too much. I'm going to lose it already. I'm behind already. And Don't panic, okay? Listen to me. Today's hard Greek is 3 weeks times easy Greek. Today's hard Greek is 3 weeks times easy Greek. If you just keep sticking at it. Trust me on that. Today's hard Greek is 3 weeks times easy Greek. The stuff you're looking at now, and you're going, oh, this is freaking me out. In 3 weeks' time, you'll be like, yeah, that's easy, right? But what I'm doing now is really hard. And then in 3 weeks' time after that, you'll be like, oh, yeah, no, that's fine. I've got that. I understand that. But now this is, right? Today's hard Greek is 3 weeks' times easy Greek. It's always like that. That's part of the reason why you always feel like you're chasing your tail, like the water's above your head and stuff like that, right? But if you just stick with it, trust me, it'll be fine. This stuff you won't even be thinking about in a couple of days' time, right? But accent marks. Okay, there are 3 different types of accent marks in Greek, right? You have a grave accent, which is a straight line going that way. You have an acute accent, which is a straight line going that way. And then you have a circumflex, which is like a little wavy line. Or sometimes, again, it's just like a different font. Sometimes people have circumflex. Oh, that didn't work. That's really annoying. Speaking of different fonts, apparently my computer didn't like that font. Sometimes you have a circumflex. So the normal circumflex that we've got here, What have we got on top of an upsilon? Right, is a little wavy line. Okay, that's a normal circumflex. Sometimes you can have circumflex written, it's like a cap. Yeah, it's like a semicircle cap over the top or something like that. Doesn't matter, both of them are circumflexes, just different ways of doing them. A squiggle or a cap, either way works. They're called a circumflex. Now, what does a grave, acute, and circumflex accent mean? Who cares, right? You don't care right now. Right now, what we're trying to do is we're just trying to make sure you know about all the dashes and dots and squiggles. The good news about accent marks is that we really don't care about them. Like, really. Like, first year Greek, forget it. Doesn't matter. You need to be able to recognize them, because when you're out in the wild, I want you to know about all the dots and dashes and squiggles and not be confused about anything. Go, oh yeah, that's an accent mark. But Steve told us we didn't have to worry about that. Right? Doesn't really matter. They're not important, not massively important at all. Not in terms of the meaning of the word or anything like that. They're not necessary for the spelling of the word. You don't need them in your Greek test when you're writing them out or anything like that. They're just there to help people with pronunciation and stuff like that. But again, people argue about them. We're not going to worry about them, right? First year Greek, we don't worry about accents unless we need to worry about the accent. Sometimes we'll need to do that. Because for some words, the only difference between this word and that word is the accent. And when the accent changes the meaning of the word, then we care about it. But for now, we're not going to worry about accents. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You just need to know. Remember, we're just learning all the dots and dashes and squiggles and making sure that we understand them all. That's what we're doing here right now. Okay? So, because they're dashes and squiggles on your page, you need to learn what they are. But we're not worried about them. You cannot worry about them. Just know what they are, know that they're there, and ignore them. Okay? That's what you do with accent marks. Okay, now this is the last bit, dots and squiggles, and that is punctuation. Punctuation. And when it comes to Greek and Greek punctuation, there's some good news and there's some bad news, like most things in life, right? The good news is that a comma in Greek looks exactly like a comma in English. That's good news, right? Comma looks like a comma. So I'm giving you an example at the end here about what a comma might look like. This word here, who wants to give me a go at trying to say what that word might look like? Gift. How would I pronounce the Greek word at the end there as our example? Prophetess. Excellent. Prophetess. Excellent. Anybody want to just randomly have a guess at what you think, perhaps, possibly, the word prophetess might mean in English? Could mean prophet, maybe? Yes, it does, right? Easy peasy. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm just giving you an example where the punctuation goes. So prophetess, comma, English comma, Greek comma, looks exactly the same. Full stop, looks exactly the same. That's good news, right? The not so good news, the confusing news, is that a semicolon looks like a dot and a question mark looks like a semicolon. What? Why? I don't know, they just do. So, if we have a semicolon in English, it's a dot, kind of like a full stop, but it's a raised dot, right? You can see over here. It's a raised dot. It's at the top, right? Not a full stop down the bottom. It's a semicolon. It's a raised dot at the top. And when you want to ask a question in Greek, in English we finish our sentence with a question mark. Well, in Greek we finish our sentence with a question mark as well, but the question mark in Greek looks exactly like the English semicolon. Why do we have to confuse everything? I don't know. It just is. Right? And so this is a Greek question. Prophetess, right? It's a question at the end of it. Good news, bad news story when it comes to punctuation in Greek. Okay, now I know that feels like a lot of information. I know it feels like I've gone through it quickly. I do know that. I understand that. Don't worry. But really, not massive amounts of learning or understanding that I need from you right now. I just need you to recognize all those dots and squiggles and dashes. That's all we're trying to achieve, so that you know the alphabet, the letters, and you know all the dots and dashes and squiggles. So now when you have a look at a piece of Greek text in front of you, there is nothing on it that you don't recognize anymore. You might not know what it means. That's fine. We're working on that, right? But you at least recognize all the letters and the dashes and dots and squiggles on the page. That's what we're trying to achieve here. Okay. Any questions about that at all so far? So if I was going to go back, I don't think I have it here. No. If I was going to go back and give you that text, right? There'll be nothing there that would surprise you, right? You now know you've all met all those dashes, dots, and squiggles all over the thing here, right? So can you all see this clearly enough if I point? Okay. So Unati, what would that one be? What's that little squiggle over the last letter there? Speak up. Ah, that's better. It's a circumflex. Excellent. Who else? Josh. What would this little mark at the front of the word that begins with a vowel be? It's a rough breathing mark. Excellent. What about the end here? Jasmine, what would this one down the bottom here be? It's an iota subscript. Excellent. What else have we got up here? We've got all sorts of different things. Do we have any diaresis or anything up here? And I can't see any. Just more accents everywhere. And we've got some punctuation. And you can see that sometimes we'll have a letter that's got an accent and a breathing mark on it or something like that as well, right? Okay, that's okay. That's all good. Okay, cool. What about the fifth line here? Yeah, now we've got an accent and a breathing mark and an iota subscript all on our first letter.
First line, omega.
At the end here? Oino?
First line.
Yes? First line?
Single omega.
Single omega, yes. Okay, yep, it's got a circumflex. It's one letter word, but it's a vowel, so it's a word that begins with brow. So it's got a breathing mark as well. It's got a circumflex, it's got a breathing mark, and it's got an iota subscript. It's got them all. Ho. Okay. So, any questions about the squiggles and dashes and dots and the alphabet? Because that's all we're trying to do right now. We're just trying to get our head around that sort of stuff. Okay, now the good news. Yeah, just. If it's a row, not a P. Looks like a P. Don't get tricked. Yeah. Yeah, it's like that aspirated kind of. I don't speak Afrikaans, right? But it's that phlegmy kind of choking kind of sound at the back of your mouth. Put that together with the R, that rabbi or something like that. Does that help? But you can just say rabbi as far as I'm concerned, because I'm Australian. Josh, you had your hand up?
Before writing down passage in Greek, if we leave out the punctuations, do we lose any marks for that?
I'll never get you to write out a whole passage in Greek, just to chunk out a whole passage. But punctuation's important, like it is in English. But it's important for you to realize that when we first got Greek manuscripts, if you went back and you looked at the original manuscripts that Paul wrote, that John wrote, something like that, they're not written like this. They're written all in capital letters, all in capital letters. There's no gaps between the words, which is really messed up, right? So everything just runs together. Every letter just runs together. You're just supposed to intuit when one word finishes and the next word starts because you know the language so well. But they're all in capital letters. They're all run together with no gaps in between the letters. There's no punctuation. There's none of this sort of stuff or anything like that. So we've added all this stuff. And we've added the punctuation to try and make it just much more easier to read than that original, or capitals and all run together and stuff like that. So this is much easier to read than it would be in the actual manuscripts and stuff like that. But that's important, right? We added the punctuation in, which means punctuation is not divinely inspired, right? And there'll be some times when exegetically speaking, if you put the comma in front of this word or you put it after this word, it'll change the whole meaning of the sentence, right? And there are times when this becomes a big debate, Where should the punctuation end? Where should the sentence end? Where should this comma be? 99% of the time it's obvious as anything, but sometimes it's different, and sometimes it will change the meaning. And, that's all part of reading the Bible in high definition, right? That you actually can see that and you can figure that out and enter into that discussion yourself. Okay, we've done a lot. Two pieces of good news. One, that's it. That's all we're going to learn for today. All right? You've done it. We're not going to learn anything more new today. Okay? Second bit of good news is you're up for a break, definitely. So why don't we have a quick 5-minute break? We'll come back with big hand on the 9. We'll come back and we just want to finish off a few more things. My wife, who is the most amazing woman in the world, well, I think so, at least, but you're about to as well. She says, if you want your students to really like you, let them go home early on the first day. So, because I'm desperate for your approval and I want you to like me, and because I'm a smart man who listens to my wife, we're going to let you guys go early. We're going to be done. Lunchtime, we'll be out of here. We don't have to come back later this afternoon. But what we want to do, 5-minute break, and we'll come back. We'll talk a little about learning vocab, practicing, what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and give you some tips, and then homework. What is it you're going to do this afternoon? Okay? All right? So let's come back. Big hand on the 9. just so I don't get this wrong and get myself in a lot of trouble. If you are in Hope Centre and in Res, they've got different sessions for lunch going on at the moment. The first year session for lunch starts at 1:20. No, but your actual eating session, not lunchtime on the calendar. Your actual eating for first years. Yeah, 1:25. That's what I thought. The first years. I'm pretty sure the first years are 1:25. That's the lunch break, but eating. The schedule for summer school. The summer school schedule. What does the summer school schedule say, John? That's the BTH 2 and 3, 12:55 to 1:15. And BTH 1 is the other one, obviously. They're after it. 1:25. You guys will have to go to have lunch if you need to, yeah. But the rest of us, we've got lunch at 1:25. Okay? So I'm going to go to when you've got lunch then, and then we'll quit, and we'll be done for the day, and we won't have to come back, yeah? Okay, so we'll go a bit longer, but we'll make sure you're at lunch at the right time. Okay, so I just had a question. What Bible should I buy? Translations, what's the best one? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I don't care. Buy whatever you want. I don't really care. I don't care about whether English translations that you read. I want to teach you Greek so that you don't have to worry about translations. That's my job. If you want to know what Bible I think you should be reading, I think you should be reading the Greek Bible. So let's work at doing that, hey? And that's the whole point, really. That's what we're doing here. That's why we're learning Greek, so that these questions about translations are going to fall away. Is the NIV the best translation? Is the ESV the best translation? I don't really care. Both of them are not great at times. Both of them are really good most of the time. The best thing to do is learn Greek, so you don't have to worry and be reliant on the translations. But in terms of what we use here at college, mostly NIV or ESV. I'd say that's probably 90% of the stuff that people look at. But other people have got different Bibles. That's all fine. We teach you the original languages so you don't have to worry about translations. Work on your own. Okay, now, we've got our head around the alphabet, starting to a little bit. We've got our head around all the dots and dashes and squiggles and stuff like that. That's great. We've looked at all those. We've got a head around that. Now we want to learn some words, right? Because we actually need to learn some vocabulary, some words and what they mean, right? Now Duff, where's my Duff? Duff breaks up the vocabulary for you into vaguely manageable kind of chunks, right? So at the end of every chapter, there's a vocab section, all right? A vocabulary section, a vocab section, where he's going to list off a whole stack of words that will be good to learn for this chapter. And he breaks it all up so that you've got a kind of decent chunk for every chapter. At the end of your time reading Duff, you will learn 600 words. 600 words. It's quite a lot, right? 600 words is what you're going to try and get your head around by the end of this year in terms of vocab that we're going to be learning together here. Now, that's quite a lot, but before you get too excited, here's some things to help you realize that we're still doing introductory Greek grammar, all right? 600 words is roughly the vocabulary of the average 3-year-old. So, give you a bit of an idea about where we're at, all right? Most 3-year-olds have about 600 words in their vocab. We're going to learn 600 words of Greek. We're going to learn 600 words. There are 5,393 different words that are used in the New Testament. 5,393 different words used in the New Testament. Roughly about 2,000 of those words occur only once. So most people don't worry about trying to learn those, right? but there's still about 3,000 words that are used repeatedly throughout the New Testament. If you wanted to learn every word that occurs 10 times or more in the New Testament, that's a good goal to get to. That's a pretty high level of vocab. Every word that occurs 10 times or more in the New Testament, then you'll be learning 1,126 words. Right? We're going to learn 600 words. So give you an idea. This is kind of where we're at, introductory. By the time you finish working your way through Greek here at GWC, you're going to keep learning more words all the way through second and third year. You end up learning about 850 words or something like that. You'll learn every word that occurs 19 times or more in the New Testament. That's getting you to a pretty good level of competency by the time you work your way through it. But before you get too depressed, the 600 words that Duff has chosen are chosen specifically to try and help you get your head around as much Greek as possible. So those 600 words account for 90% of the words that are used in the New Testament, right? 90% of the actual words on pages, because these are the words that are used most commonly, right? So 600 words, but these 600 words gets you 90% of the New Testament. That means by the end of this year, you can basically read the New Testament, and you can expect that, on average, 9 out of every 10 words on the page you'd recognise, be able to read, and you just have to look up maybe 1 out of 10 to try and figure out what it means, right? Okay, so that's pretty good, right? We're going to get to a pretty good level here as we're working our way through it. We're going to learn all the Duff vocab. You'll see when you look at Duff that some of them have got little stars next to them and some of them don't. Don't worry about that. We're going to do it all, right? The stars are there if you want to learn sort of only half of them, but we don't want to learn half of them. We want to learn them all. So we're going to learn all of Duff, and we're going to learn the Duff chapter vocab before we look at the chapter's material. Okay? So if we want to do chapter 2 tomorrow, then we want to make sure that we get chapter 2's vocab under our belt before we look at chapter 2. So it works better to have the vocab and then have a look at the grammar. It just makes much more sense that way. Okay, so what that means is that tonight, for homework, you need to do all the vocab from chapter 1 and all the vocab from chapter 2, so that we're ahead, right? So that we're learning chapter 2's vocab tonight, so tomorrow we can look at chapter 2's grammar, right? Okay, so we want to do that. Now, let's just talk about what that might look like as well. There's 2 reasons for that. One, I just explained to you. We want to get ahead. But 2, if you have a look at page number 19. If you have a look at page number 19, you'll see that there is only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 words in the vocab list there. That's not enough. We're going to work harder than that, right? And not only that, you'll see that those 8 words are things like, David. I wonder what David might mean. Or Israel. I don't know what it might mean, right? Or rabbi means rabbi, right? Okay, so really, chapter 1's a gimme, right? Forget that. We're going to get rid of that. And we're going to go to chapter 2. We're going to learn their vocab tonight as well. So let's turn to page 29. Page 29. And then you'll see there's your vocab for chapter 2, right? So you want to learn all the vocab for chapter 1 and the vocab for chapter 2. And now we're getting serious, right? Now we've got some words. Ago means I lead, and akuo means I hear, and, theos means God, and whatever, okay? So you've got to learn those vocab. Are you with me? This is what we're going to do tonight. Now, how are you going to go about doing that? Well, as I said, I mentioned earlier to you, learning Greek is just going to require you to just keep putting in time and lots of regular time and lots of ongoing time and just going over stuff and going over stuff and going over it again and again and again and again until it's stuck inside your head and you can't forget it anymore, right? That's what it's going to require of you. You have to do that. Unless you've got a photographic memory, in which case, congratulations. And I mean that. What a great blessing from God that is for you. But the rest of us mere mortals don't have photographic memories, and we have to work hard to try and remember things, okay? So work hard at it and keep working on it. You're going to have to do it, and you're going to have to do it again. And then when you've done it again, you're going to have to go over it again. And you're just going to have to keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. That's just the reality of the situation. But it's not all bad. It's not all bad. And in fact, you know, there are a few what I like to call freebie words, right? Free words that come your way when you're learning Greek. Because actually, a lot of the English language finds its root in the Greek language. That's just the truth, right? That's just the reality of the way things work. And so there's a whole stack of freebie words that we've already looked at. We've already looked at some of them. But angelos means angel, right? Because our word for angel just comes from the Greek word angelos. Nice and easy, right? That's a free word. Easy peasy. Cosmos. Anyone want to have a guess at what cosmos might mean? Hey? The world, right? The cosmos, the world. Cosmology, right? Okay? It means world because our word for cosmos came from Greek's word amen. Want to have a guess at what that means? Right? Okay, so there's a lot of freebie words. A daimonion. What do you think that might mean? A demon, right? Okay? So our English words have come directly from the Greek words. And so there's a whole stack of free words when it comes to studying Greek. That's good news, right? Okay, that's going to make it nice and easy for you in some way, shape, or form. Those poor suckers downstairs doing second year and doing Hebrew, there is no free words, right? Forget it. No freebie words in Hebrew at all. There's barely a single word that's made it from a Hebrew language into the English language as a derivative word. And so there's no freebies down there, but that's their problem, not yours. You can wait and you can tackle that next year as well. But not only are there those words, there's a whole stack of words that we've combined two Greek words together to give us our English word as well, right? So there's a whole stack of freebie words. Like, for instance, theology. You're all here doing a Bachelor of Theology. What does theology mean to you? What do you think theology is? What's the definition of theology? Yeah, gift. It's the study of God, right? It's words about God. That's what theology is. Well, would you believe that the Greek word for God is theos? And the Greek word for word is logos. Hence, theology, right? It's words about God. Theology. Theos, God, logos, word. Biology. Anybody want to have a guess what bios means in Greek? Life, right? Because biology is the study of life and living things and stuff like that, right? Okay, bios means life. Cardiology. Familiar word? Anyone ever had to go to a cardia specialist or cardiology? What do you think cardia means in Greek? It means heart, right? Because a cardiologist is someone who works on your heart. Okay, can you see there's lots of freebie words that have made their way into English? Philosopher. Philos and Sophia. Philos, lover. Sophia, wisdom. The philosopher is the lover of wisdom, right? Okay? This is the way this works, right? Love and wisdom go together to give you an English word, philosopher. Both come from Greek words. So there's freebie words, right? There's things that are going to help you. And there's going to be freebie words that are going to, make it very easy to learn. But that's only some of them. And the reality is most of them aren't going to be freebie words. Most of them we're going to have to work at earlier. So as I said earlier, you're going to have to put in some hard yards. And you're going to have to somehow get them into your head. And I mean this in all seriousness. Whatever way works best for you. Because people are different. People learn differently. And we'll talk about some ways to do this in a second. But however it's going to work for you, you need to get this stuff into your head. Whatever works for you is the key. Be inventive. Have fun with it. Do what you want to do. I know heaps of different people who have done this in heaps of different ways and have come out with good results. Some more successful than others, but people do it differently. If you're musical, I don't have a musical bone in my body, I admire you. But if you're musical, then write your own songs. You know, like I know people who have written songs and have made all these different elaborate songs to try and get stuff happening and stuff like that. If you're musical, write songs. Might be a way that you do it. There's a guy in America, he calls himself the Singing Grammarian. This is a guy in the States, one of the lecturers in America. The Singing Grammarian. If you look him up at Singing Grammarian on the YouTube, you'll find a whole stack of his little video clips where he's made up songs to try and help you learn stuff. All right, let me give you an example. I'll say, has he got the volume? Hopefully we've got the volume on here, on the data projector going, but we'll see how we go here. Listen up, this is his alphabet song. Why are you not working? Cannot play media. That's not what I wanted to hear. Oh, okay, let me see if I can figure this out for you. Give me 2 seconds. But I'll fix this. But if you're a singer and you like songs, make songs, right? Make up songs and get things like that to work for you. If you're arty and you like drawing, draw pictures, right? I've seen the most elaborate pictures going around from different people about the ways they do this stuff, and it helps them remember stuff, and good on them. Here's an example of a picture that some guys come up with. I'll actually hand this to you in a couple of days' time when it'll make more sense to you. But it's about a guy and prepositions and how you behave with a lion. And he's drawn all these different pictures about him and a lion and stuff like that. And it's just funny, and it helps you remember stuff if that's the way your brain works. If you're arty, draw pictures. If you're musical, sing songs. Do whatever it's going to take to get the stuff into your head, right? I know people who have made up all sorts of stories, right? And they use the words, they make up words, the Greek words that they're trying to get, and they can use all those words in their head, and they make them up, and they try and make up stories, and they come up with these most elaborate stories but it works, right? Somehow it helps them remember everything that they're trying to put together from memory about these words. Let me see if I can just pop out of that for a second and pop into this for a second, and then see if I can get the Singing Grammarian up for us here. Computer's taking its time to wake up, but it'll get there. Okay, Singing Grammarian. Okay, let's try again. Wake up, computer. So slow and sleepy. Oh, come on. Hey, here we go.
Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, omega.
Very nice and sketchy.
Thanks.
But to be honest, I could have used a little more cowbell.
I thought it sounded pretty good.
I'm telling you, you need the cowbell louder.
Don't you think it's gonna drown me out?
I gotta have more cowbell.
Okay.
Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, keep, psi, omega.
It's dorky, right? It's totally dorky. But you know the thing that's really annoying about it? You will go to bed tonight and you'll be lying in bed going, Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, Epsilon. Why can't I go to sleep? And it's going to stick in your head and you're never going to be able to forget it. It just works if you're a musical kind of person. So go with it if you're a musical kind of person. If you're a picture-y kind of person, draw pictures. If you are a arty kind of person, work along those kind of ways. Look, if you're a technological kind of person, there's an app for that, right? There's an app for everything. So there are lots of different apps out there to help you work on your vocab. Flash Greek is there. I think this one costs a bit, maybe about $6 or something like that. If you're interested in investing in this one, you know, it'll give you all sorts of different options. It's set up for Duff, and you can choose the chapters you want to practice on, and you can choose all sorts of different things. You can normalize it and stuff like that, and it'll give you these little pictures and clues and everything to help you. It'll tell you when you've got them correct and when you've got them wrong and how to help and stuff like that. If you want to have a play with this, come and you can have a try before you buy on my phone if you want and do that. But Flash Greek, there's an app. But there's lots of free ones out there as well. Anki Web is a way that is set up to learn and to do vocab and memorize things and stuff like that as well. So is Quizlet. Is another one that people use. And the other one I think I've got is Memrise. You know, all these things are set up. You can go to Memrise, download it onto your phone, and then say download the Duff vocab list, because people have already set them all up for you on there, and it's all done for you and everything like that. So you could do it. If you're a technological kind of person and you like doing stuff and having it on your app, that you can just practice wherever you go, because that's life, right? That'll work for you as well. Anki, Quizlet, and Anki Web. AnkiWeb.net. But speak to some of the other students about what's worked well for them. But they're all out there. You could use any of them. For me, believe it or not, I learned Greek before smartphones existed. I know. It's hard to believe. There was a world where we didn't have smartphones, right, with apps and everything like on it. And I learned Greek the tried and trusted way, the way that most people have learned Greek all throughout history. And probably, I think, still the way most people learn Greek vocab, and probably still the best way. But that's just me, right? Whatever works for you. And that is, you make vocab cards. You make vocab cards yourself. So you take a little cardboard piece of paper, about this big or so, right? And you cut them all out, or you go down to the stationery store and you buy a packet of them, because you can buy like a pack of 100 cards like this for like, I don't know, 30 rand or 20 rand or something, whatever it is. Go up to Checkers and try to find some, right? And then you take a card, and on one side of the card, you write the Greek word. You write it out with your hands. You practice it. You write logos on the front of the card. And then on the back side of the card, you write what the word means what the word actually means. You write word. And there's my Greek vocab card for logos. And then I go to my next one and I write theos on one side of it. And on the other side of it, I'm going to write God, right? And I'm going to do that. And I'm going to keep going. And I'm going to go through everyone that's in the book in chapter 1 and chapter 2. And I'm going to put together a deck. And my deck just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger with my vocab cards. And then I sit there with my vocab cards and I just flick through them. You know, I look at read the Greek word, and what does it mean in English? Okay, cool. And I'll flick through them and I'll remind myself and I'll do that, right? Over and over and over and over again. That is by far the way that throughout history people have learnt Greek. It's by far the most common way. I think probably the most effective way still to do it. But really, whatever works best for you, I don't mind how you get it into your head. Whatever works is what you have to do. But come up with a way of doing it. I suggest you probably make vocab cards. If you're not sure what to do, then do that. All right? That's the best way to do it. Big pile of cards, and you're going to keep working on them, taking them with you everywhere you go, flipping through them, practicing them, learning them, going over them again and again and again. Come up with different ways, different mnemonics, different memory tricks. This is always part of the fun of learning Greek, right? The Greek word doulos means a slave, right? Means slave. So if you remember that slaves do lots, yeah? It's like a little memory trick. Slaves do lots, or doulos means slave, right? Because slaves do lots, okay? They're little memory tricks, little mnemonics and stuff like that. We're going to come up with them. You guys are going to come up with some funny ones and some great ones. And the funnier and the sillier they are, the better they are. It's just the way it works because it makes your mind remember them somehow. So, you know, we can share each other's memory tricks and the ways that we've helped to learn words and stuff like that. That's going to be fun as well. Keep doing that, whatever works for you. Get other people involved. If you're married, then get your wife or your husband to help you out. Get your spouse to be involved in it. Get them to sit there and test you and flip vocab cards over for you and get friends involved. Get team up partner in a socially distanced, COVID-y kind of way. And help each other out, learning vocab, practicing together and stuff like that. Just get it in your head, whatever works for you. All right, any questions about that? About how you're going to go about doing it, about what you want to do, your approach? You've got to learn these vocab words. Okay, we're almost done. You've done well. Homework. Okay, what are we going to do tonight? Okay, there's a couple of things you need to do tonight for me. 4 things, in fact, that you're going to do for homework tonight. 4 different things. First thing is, well, we just talked about it. You're going to learn the vocab from Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 of Duff. Yeah? You should come tomorrow morning knowing what those words mean. And when I say learn the vocab, I mean, when I see logos, I know that that means word in English. When I see theos, I know that that means God in English. When I see kaleo, I know that that means I call in English. Whatever it is, right? You're going to find out what all those words are, what they mean in English. That's what you're going to do with the vocab. That's homework number 1. Yeah? There's about, what did I say, 5 or 6 words in Chapter 1. There's about 30 in Chapter 2, right? Each day has got about 30 vocab. Each chapter's got about 30 vocab words in it, roughly. There's 600 words, 20 chapters, about 30 words in each chapter, okay? So you're going to have about 35, 36 words under your belt when you come to class tomorrow. That's number 1. Number 2, homework sheets. So grab these and then grab a copy. Don't touch anything with just your own one. It's COVID safe. It's a little bit tricky. Homework sheets. Takes a while to hand stuff out these days, but it's all right. We'll get through these. Awesome. You got 2? Okay. Sneak that one in there. We won't know. Growing my mind. You got 2 as well. All right. Shh, I will hand it out. Shh, I didn't notice. Let's see if we can come up with a better way to do these things. A bit faster. There we go. Spread them out like that. That might help. There we go. Josh. Homework sheets. All right, so we'll talk about what this homework sheets is, but you want to work on these and finish these and fill them out during the course of this evening. So there's a couple of different questions here. Let's talk about what they're going to look like. So on the first question there, it says, write the following English words out using the Greek alphabet. Okay? So it's kind of like the exercise that we did earlier in the day. They're English words, and I don't want you to do anything about it. I just want you to try and use that Greek alphabet to try and get your head around what letters would make up those words, right? It's just an exercise to try and get you used to the letters, what they sound like, and which ones they represent, right? Okay? And then question 2, it's the reverse, like what we did earlier in our little exercise. There are some English words that are written with Greek letters. That's all they are, they're just English words. So try and figure out what the English word would be for those words that are written out in Greek letters there for you. Okay? Over the page. Question 3. Place the following Greek words in alphabetical order. Okay? So there's a whole list of words down there. They're real Greek words. And what I want you to do is rearrange them in another column on the other side that shows them all in alphabetical order, like you'd look them up in a dictionary. Which one of those words would come first in the dictionary? Which one would come next according to the alphabetical order that we just learnt? Yeah? And then down the bottom, question 4, you've got all those little squiggles and dots and dashes that we just learned about, gamma nasals and breathing marks and all those sorts of things and stuff like that. And then on the other side, you've got examples of them all. You need to draw a line and match which one goes with which and which one's an example of which one and stuff like that. Make sense? Nice, easy, not hard work. It's only going to take you 20 minutes or something like that. But just to get you into the practice and to try and help ground what it is that you've learnt today. On the last page, what you have is you have a copy of Mark chapter 1, verses 1 to 15. All right? The Greek text of Mark chapter 1, verses 1 to 15. You can't read a word of that. None of it makes sense to you at the moment. You haven't learned anything yet, and that's fine. But what I do want you to do is spend some time tonight just trying to read it. Just sound out the words. Not translate it, you can't do that, but just actually read the words, the Greek words. Read them out. So you're going to sit at home and you're going to go, ke, tu, you, angelou, Yesu, Christu, huiu, theou, kathos, right? And you're just going to keep reading, right? Just try and start getting yourself familiar with it. Start just reading the text. Spend some time just reading over those and stuff like that. Okay? Good? Makes sense? Okay, you're going to do that. I don't care about this page. You can rip that page off. This, though, you're going to submit to me when you've finished it. You're going to do that in Google Classroom, right? You're going to finish it off and you're going to upload it in Google Classroom, which means you're either going to figure out, just take a photo of it if you want, and then just upload it from your phone, or you're going to figure out how to scan on your phone. I know some of you know how to do that. Or you're going to take it down to the photocopy in the library and scan it, and then you'll have a PDF and you can submit it via Google Classroom. If that's complicated, don't sit there saying, I don't know how to do it, and then come up to class tomorrow saying, I didn't do it because I have no idea. Ask somebody. There's plenty of people here who are willing to help you know how to use Google Classroom and know how to use stuff and submit stuff on it. Okay? So, number 1, vocab. Number 2, homework. Homework sheet. Number 3, your chapter summary. Your chapter summary. Okay? We've done everything from chapter 1 in Duff. Okay? We've done that today. All done. Okay? So what I want you to do now is I want you to go back tonight. I want you to read through chapter 1 of Duff. You might have done that already, but go back and read through it again. Read through chapter 1 of Duff. Write your own chapter summary. Again, it's for you. It's like your study notes. But then, again, upload that into Google Classroom. You'll see that there is a place to upload your chapter summary for chapter 1, and there's a place in Google Classroom already set up for you to upload your homework sheet as well. Right? It's all there for you. It's all set up for you once you get in there. Okay? So, vocab, chapters 1 and chapter 2. Homework sheet for day 1. Chapter summary for chapter 1. Yeah? That's 3 things you're doing. There's one more thing you're going to do. Last thing I want you to do is I want you to sort out Kahoot. Kahoot. So either download that onto your phone or onto your tablet. It's an app. It's free on Google Play and on App Store. Or you can just get it on a computer or whatever you want to do, okay? But I want you to be enabled to use Kahoot. We're going to use it in class, okay? So tomorrow morning you need to come ready to use Kahoot because we will use it in our classroom and we'll try to use it tomorrow even, right? So get used to Kahoot, get ready to use Kahoot. Come with either a phone or a tablet or a computer that you can Kahoot on, okay? 4 things you're doing for homework tonight. Any questions? Everybody happy? Okay, well then we are done for the day. You don't have to come back after lunch, you're done. You've got the whole afternoon off to learn some vocab and to get yourself around some bit of Greek and to have a walk along the beach and to chill a bit. You can have the afternoon off. Don't get used to it though. We'll be back. I'll see you tomorrow morning straight after devotions again. Thank you.